Good evening, good night, and welcome. This is, for those of you who don't know, Lost Wages, Second Chances, Season 2, Episode 4, entitled, I'm Thinking It Must Be. I am your narrator, your storyteller, and your number one fan, Nobody. And we hope, as always, that you enjoy what chaos this particular troupe gets up to. Thank you. So yeah, we're just chit-chatting for a hot second and getting everybody warmed up, doing those vocal exercises so that we are ready to go. And very slowly, but we're getting there. And with questions, suggestions, tactics, and sallying forth verbally all out of the way, one final aside, Martha, your patient, your victim, well, soon to be victim, in stabilizing them with the life essence of the immortal over your face and over your fingers, is there any additional effort you would be attempting to apply as Ryan gathered them into the truck bed? Would you be following him to make sure that there were no witnesses to your lapse of seeming, or would you be following him into the truck bed to escape and potentially continue trying to stabilize them?
I think I'd probably be trying to continue stabilizing. It seems like kind of a waste if we don't wait for this with somebody to talk to.
All right, sounds like a plan. So as we dim the lights and raise the curtain on what this particular coterie is getting up to, we're going to pick up right where we left. For the most part, a few seconds, a few fractions of a second difference from where we left these characters mid-actions, attempting to escape with their unlife, attempting to escape with their quarry, and attempting to mitigate the potential fallout of their actions thus far. While they did not officially break any provable tradition, they did technically, right on the edge, abuse the domain and hospitality. They didn't kill any of the Nosferatu, which means they can't be guilty of that particular tradition. However, there is still the, kicking up dust, starting a ruckus, and all of that to be considered later if they are captured by either the police or by the Nosferatu, who are taking evasive actions. So there are a lot of considerations at play. And without further ado, and officially, beyond all questions of a doubt, this is officially Season 2, Episode 4 of Lost Wages and Second Chances. I'm Thinking It Must Be. As we begin in the middle of this fracas, in the middle of this scrum, this hullabaloo, and this sheer unequivocal madness, Morgan, we will start in the middle of our pack, just ahead of Ryan. You and unliving Ryan, heading down the dirt road, moving towards the vehicle. Is there a change of direction, or are you headlong moving towards where you all left the party van? Are you moving into the maw of madness, as it were? Because there are two Prim PD vehicles coming down Prim Drive, turning onto the dirt road and moving into the trailer park.
I feel like we would do the sensible thing and zig and zag into like a little off the beaten path, still semi-direct.
Okay. evasive maneuvers. In that case, would you be so kind as to roll your stamina plus stealth? And what's your base athletics, Dots?
That would be 1 with and Cat's Grace.
Okay, so we're going to use that as a negative to the SPC's die pool to account for you and Ryan working in tandem to avoid attention and move zigzag as quickly as possible towards your party wagon. And while that roll is happening, Marta, while you were successful in ending the Immortal's existence and had the basis of stabilizing his sister in play, I do need you, because you were 1 short our last roll, I do need you to roll your resolve plus medicine. You need at least 2 successes because, well, you know, you did move her after almost having her stabilized. So you need 2 successes on that roll. While that roll is happening and Marta is busily doing the very dramatic rushing along, trying to hold what's inside her, trying to stuff and staunch the bleeding and not succumb to that beast in her chest. And while Morgan and Living Ryan are ducking and dodging through the various trailers and homes on the north side of the center dirt road, Fancy, you are still in the driver's seat. The Nosferatu, hearing the police, is attempting to flee. He's been perforated and pilfered and damaged, but common sense is common sense. I don't need to be here as I am. There's only so much credulity we can buy off. Are you attempting to shift the truck into gear, or are you pulling Eugene, or are you trying to yell for Unliving Ryan to get into the cab, or are you going to drive one-handed?
Which is quicker? I mean, if it's quicker to just drive one-handed, she's going to do that. As far as the Nosferatu, if he's already disengaged, she's still going to hit him with the fucking truck. She's pissed off about her arm.
Okay. Eugene, Ryan, as all of this is attempting happening, Fancy shifting the truck into gear to run over, to get back to driving and potentially hit the Nosferatu who is fleeing. What are you two doing? Yes, you've already lifted the immortal sister into the truck bed, and Eugene, you had already rushed to the truck. Are you climbing into the cab? Are you trying to slide Fancy out of the way? What is it that you all are attempting to do in these moments?
Okay, alright, so my primary objectives in this is to ensure that I'm in the vehicle, that all my people are in the vehicle, and that my target is in the vehicle, but the Nosferatu are not. So of the tasks listed, I'm going to try and pull Eugene into the truck if I can. I guess let his focus be on whatever it is, and if that doesn't take all of my effort, try and help remove the Nosferatu infestation that's building on this truck. I don't have really much anything, but I'll punch him in the fucking face if that's what I gotta do. So we'll start with helping Eugene into the truck.
Eugene is going to take a passive action reloading, because I don't know how many shells I got left right at this exact moment. So Eugene is going to reload while getting in the truck.
Okay. And Fancy, would you be so kind to go ahead and roll your dexterity and drive for us? And While Fancy rolls her dexterity and drive, Ryan, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl or strength plus athletics to snatch Eugene as he's reloading?
That's gonna be bad. It's gonna be so bad, boys. Yeah, that's... Fuck. That's terrible.
Well, now. Did you... Wait, you didn't account for the vitae you took from Morgan, did you? Or were you at 5?
Oh, I'm at 5. No, wait, I did not account for it. Still, I've got 4 dice, and at 4 hunger, it's all my dice.
Yes.
Wait. Let me do some backlogging. Please continue on while I do my little bit of backlogging.
Yeah, you were at 5. I was just doing that myself. During the last episode, you were at 5. You took the one from Morgan, which puts you at 4. You are absolutely correct, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But, and you restrained yourself from feeding on their mortal and the sister. So, that is that. Now, here's the question. Mm-hmm. In this situation, as always, there are multiple ways of accomplishing a task. Would you assume the burden on yourself and succeed at cost?
Always and forever. I've never been a man to stray away from a sharp edge.
Alright, so effectively missing by 4. There's no way in all that is holy and resplendent that you would have the opportunity of doing more than turning inward. Your inner monster would kick the doors off of its cell and pilot you like a puppet. Its hand firmly shoved places that, well, hands shouldn't be shoved without permission given. However, in the relatively unheard of selflessness of attempting to sacrifice oneself for one's own goals, Eugene, would you be so kind as to denote and jot down 1 health level of damage as Ryan literally snatches you into the vehicle? Your soul is stunned that someone would manhandle you so brusquely. It takes a second of calming yourself in the face of such unvarnished roughness. The fact that if you had not been dead, there's a very good chance, if you had not been an unliving thing, that your arm would have been dislodged from your clavicle. There is a good chance that if your arm didn't become dislodged from its ball joint, that it could have been broken or otherwise severely impaired. The sheer ferocity in his face and the pain that he is in fact inflicting on himself and you vicarious is apparent to every person living and dead in the truck bed. As Fancy very much as if she's holding a large orange soda, a picked out afro and a cigarette hanging from her lip, wheels the vehicle one-handed without spilling a drop. The question being, does she in fact clip, hit, or otherwise end your Nosferatu guest? in the wheeling of the truck between the...
If he's in the way, naturally, she's going to, but if she has to go out of her way to hit him, it's in whatever. She's just going to get out of there.
So callously, purposefully, but callously, you're not even worth the time to exert my will over you. You're not even worth the effort it would otherwise require, as she maneuvers the vehicle through the trailers, as she exceeds the police awareness of two. Unfortunately, the police, and this is no commentary on their skill, this is no commentary on the police as a whole, it is a commentary on the criminally minded who've taken payoffs, who've turned blind eyes, who've otherwise helped in maintaining the masquerade of Prim, willingly, unwillingly, otherwise keeping the peace. And I'm sure that a lot of them, in fact, tell themselves exactly that. That extra money, of course, going towards their families and going towards their kids and going towards their night out and going towards their bills and tabs at various drinking establishments within, 25 miles of Prim, including the casino that's directly the center and focus of town. And they minimize that abuse of trust, taking the payoffs, taking the tickets, taking the comps, as doing their job of keeping the peace. But in truth, they're very much part of the problem as to why the masquerade and why the Prince of Prim is as locally powerful as he is. They chalk it up and write it off as just, well, if we don't take it, somebody else would. And if we stand in the way of this machine, there's a chance that we will be rolled over and rolled on. So it's better to roll with and profit my family and profit my lifestyle than otherwise. So they are ardently in pursuit of the noise violations. They are ardently attempting to minimize this getting out of hand. They don't want to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, or better yet, the wrong butcher who rings the goose who lays the golden eggs. Unfortunately, what this means for Morgan and Ryan as they escape the notice of one and the neighbors who's flicking on lights or otherwise smoking in the dark and literally going about their night-to-night existence, doing their best to not be victims of the gunshots they just heard, to not be the one that is screaming out in pain at bloody murder, not being the one who gets swept under the rug. Because as is often the case in the lower echelons of finance, lifestyle, it is those who dwell in that middle to lower range who are privy to when one should quietly lower the blinds. They are privy to being the ones who should close their doors and crawl into bed with their dog or with their gun, or otherwise make sure that they are as far from easily viewable as possible. So they know that things aren't quite right in Prim. As much money and stars and celebrities that come through the place, they know it is nowhere near what it was cracked up to be. So they go out of their way to make themselves scarce. As the police are zooming by and catch sight of Ryan's blonde, luxurious locks as he and Morgan slip past one, duck under another, make their way as circuitously towards the party van as possible, attracts their attention. There's a feeling in the gut when you know the gig is up, when you know that the dance is coming to an end, when you know that the bill for the piper has come due and there's no one else you can palm it off to. That's where Morgan and Ryan are. Morgan understands, while Ryan is Ryan, replaceable, though not without effort. That same equation doesn't quite register for Ryan. You know that if the chips are down and the feces is meeting the fan, that it is an effort to pull him away from the idea of a noble sacrifice of a noble death, of an opportunity to reach Valhalla in one piece, glory in the middle of glorious battle. If her suspicions are in fact true, which they are, and the police are circling around as you hear the car stop, the sirens are still going, the lights are still flashing, but they're not moving from that location as you make a right and then a left, and you hear the opening and closing of doors, you hear the trudge of jack-booted foot in your general direction. You know what is in fact in the offing. As the pained cries of a Nosferatu echoes out in the night as Fancy clips them and begins moving southeast through the cabins and RVs and through the trailers that form this small little community. All of that to say, what do? As Marta watches her patient cease to be a factor.
Oh man, that's a good question.
Do you, yeah, what's the plan?
Well, I think I'd let them know that I'm losing her.
All right. Hearing that you're losing her, and not that she's lost, Ryan's gonna, flick his frenzied head over to lead it, like, give her some blood then! We can't have her die!
Yeah, I guess we'll give her some Vitae.
What's your hunger at?
I'm at just one.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right, you ate the other.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So, as
Easy come, easy go.
So, with the ruined, soon-to-be corpse in front of you, how much of your precious, so very precious, gift from on high, Vitae, do you donate to her, Marta?
I think 1 point.
Okay. Go ahead and note the biting into your wrist and forcing your Vitae to bubble up to the surface and leak into her gasping mouth as the last of her resistance ekes away. With Ryan making that call and yelling and demanding it to happen, what is it that you, Eugene, and you, Fancy, are doing?
Fancy will try not to take her mind off the road, eyes off the road, because she's cutting through buildings. Does anybody know where the other two are? And where the fuck are we going?
Back to the city. We've got what we came here for. We need to get the fuck out.
I think they were running towards the other vehicle.
I guess we're gonna hope like hell they make it then, and then she will loop around trying to get out of the trailer park through like a back way.
Excellent. That is a very, very interesting call. It's funny how these things work out. As you dip, duck, and dodge and reach that the furthest south road, which is really just a dirt track. It's not even a road. It's just hard packed dirt, sand actually, that works and operates as the sidewalks and the roadways for the trailer park. Yeah, it's mapped out so that there's a path where the trailers don't reach into the road and make things easier, but it really is just hard packed sand because this is the desert. And as you reach that road, and do you make a left or a right? 50-50, by the way. Which call do you make? Or do you just continue across that road and out into the desert night?
I think right leads back towards getting out of here, so she's gonna make a right.
And you're gonna stay on the dirt track that leads back to the main Prim Valley Boulevard?
How much about this place does she remember, basically? Because she would have been here before multiple times, being as how this was her fire. So, how well does she know this place?
Well, if she's going off of her memory from all those many moons ago, there is a service access road that runs northeast of Prim proper. It's off of Prim Boulevard, east of the trailer park, east of the speedway, east of Buffalo Bills. It is out into the desert basically, but there's a service road not more than 2.5-3 minutes that leads northeast out of the city. And on that road, about 3.5 minutes down, there is a safe haven that her sire and her spent quite some time in, learning the ways, being isolated and kept safe. One of the few Garujas all those many years ago was held out here. It was a grand convention of the who's who of the Ventru criminal underground. But that was decades ago. That was a lifetime ago.
Is it far enough away to be considered outside of Prim, or does it still count as being in Prim?
Technically, it's just before you cross the border into Roach, but it's still out there. It would give you a time to better plan, better plot, better make sure that everything is everything, if that's what you seek.
Yeah, okay, so she's gonna go with that. She's gonna take the service road out into the desert and look for that place. Because basically what she's trying to do is stick to the letter of the law and be out of Prim by sunrise, but not try to make the trek all the way back to Vegas.
Okay. So seeing the flashing lights as you turn right, and considering where out there in the dark you know that there is a potential safe haven, you wheel the car back across the ruts of hard and packed in desert sand and go to what was your left, northeast and working your way around towards Prim Boulevard to make that right out onto East Prim Boulevard and head east out of immediate center of Prim. While that is being done, in the exact same breath as that being done, Morgan, you understand what this moment is. This is if this was a novel, this would be the next to last chapter, when normally the last chapter is when everything's tied up with a nice neat bow. That next to last chapter, that penultimate chapter, is when all of the flying shit, all of the plans, all of the major storylines begin converging, when make and break decisions are either proven successful or horrifically awry. Understanding that the police have caught you running, they haven't seen you specifically. It's more of the lights flicking off as the inhabitants of the trailers and RVs and cabins hear things outside begin turning off lights, and they saw a flicker of motion of something moving at a decent clip, so they stopped to investigate, because after all, there's only one real way into this trailer park. Whatever it is has to come out. So if they stop it, they can keep everything under cover, they can keep the money flowing, they can keep everything quiet. And that is clearly their goal.
Well, keen. Are any of the trailers that we seem to be passing by empty as well, or do they all seem to be inhabited?
There is unfortunately a race in town. They are inhabited. Some folks are infrequent regulars, some folks live here permanently, but it is unfortunately in the midst of several things happening, including you saw all the preparations, all the drivers, all the people out on the street partying for the most part, because there is a race in town.
Alright. So, let's see. So, what? Alright, plan B. So we are going to knock ever so discreetly on someone's door.
Okay, so you're gonna stop flight towards the vehicle and find a trailer RV on the way.
Yes.
Okay. would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma and stealth contested, because you're attempting to not loud enough and forceful enough to get the person inside or persons inside attention, and quiet enough to not alert the seeking police officers where you are.
Indeed.
Okay. Fate is not having doesn't seem to be very much willing to help Morgan in that particular case. As it is contested based on their awareness, before seeing what it is that fate might decide, would you like to succeed at a cost?
No, we'll take it as it goes.
Okay. As you knock, and the sounds of a far too large for the trailer's TV goes off. As you knock, and the squeaking of floorboards and corrugated steel cease. As you knock, and the lights on the outside of the trailer go off, there is an unsettling quiet, the quiet that comes before the storm. It is always darkest before the light, and it is always most silent before the explosion of frenetic activity. And just as the light flicks off, you hear the mobile of a static-filled, barely intelligible of a police officer's mobile less than 7 feet behind you. There's something about the idea of police in full uniform sneaking along that immediately draws the mind to the idea of a pack of wolves converging on their prey. As a kindred reckon one predator to the next, there is some professional courtesy given to honest, upfront predators. Yet there in her vitae, in the line of those who've come before her, that infected her with this current state of existence, there is an immediate distaste for the jack-booted thugs that are creeping upon her with not enough wariness to turn their mobiles silent. Those who've been stalking her and her Ryan. And standing on the two-step, poorly constructed porch to this trailer, knocking quietly, trying to get those inside's attention, seeing them there, closer than they should have been, seeing them there, you realize that they are converging. They are in fact doing exactly what they have been trained to do: cordon off, isolate, minimize the fallout of whatever stupid, reprehensible actions they may get up to. Don't have to answer for anything if no one knows it happened. A plausible story, a fantasy to keep everyone distracted from how bad things might have gotten. And staring at the brown, gold, and black uniformed officer. What exactly is going through Morgan's mind? What is she attempting in this moment to either do or not do, as the case may be?
Well, as long as they don't shoot, she's pretty skilled at playing innocent.
If only the world was a nice place. If only things were as predestined toward goodness. In another world, in another moment, her pleas for kindness and mercy, the unspoken fact that she is alone in the dark with this big, strong man would result in all levels of kindness being heaped upon them, giving them the opportunity to explain, giving them the opportunity to come up with something that was mildly plausible. There were gunshots tonight. There were cries of bloody murder. They had been bought off. So while they may not instinctually initially target Morgan, Ryan doesn't have that same umbrella. Ryan doesn't have that same aegis. And credit where credit's due. Social training of knowing that he is in fact her protector and has always been her protector. The fact that he turns presenting as flat of an image to them as possible, putting himself between her and them. The outcome could almost be tasted. And she knows what his blood tastes like. She knows how hot and sanguine his existence is until he gets his ire up, and then she knows how choleric and violent it can be. She knows the skills that he brings to bear. And as he slides himself between her and the encroaching officers, who, of course, once they have their subjects corralled, begin with all of the dominance displays. Get on the fucking crowd! Don't fucking move! And all of the overly damaging emotional outpouring of aggression. They are literally projecting as they've been taught, that they will fucking pull the trigger, that they will end you. They are putting forth as much violent aggression emotionally to keep from having to respond with actual physical violence. It is the one warning. It is the clarion call of don't fuck with the police. As they close, foot by foot, yelling, demanding, get out, put your hands up, put your hand behind your back, don't move, and so forth and so on. And it is a jumble, and it is ablative to one's mental well-being. And in that chaos, in that all the chickens coming home to roost on the wrong person's fence, in that maelstrom of sheer unbridled willingness of violence, in the presaging roar of more potential heartbreak, as the truck wheeled across the desert roads, heading north, heading as far from the center of the chaos as possible. Fancy realizes that, yeah, people, just because the regulars and locals may have an idea of don't see, don't tell, don't say a God-blessed word, that does not mean that the tourists who are here for the race feel the same. You are sure at this very moment there are several people who are finding small cul-de-sacs off the road, parking to express their joy in being in such a potentially great moment. The race is tomorrow. They had an earlier race today, so people are celebrating their wins, both from the race betting, from the side bets, from the casino, and are milling about. People are going to recognize a speeding truck during the moment when the police were rushing to a scene. So she eases off the road, still moving northeast of Prim, alongside Prim Boulevard, out into the desert. She knows that 2 to 3 minutes along there is that turn off. And so she turns the lights off. She guides herself by the mountains just there to the left of where her center line should be. She knows that the road, as long as she keeps it to her left, she'll be able to see the turnoff and make it there in time. In time being a matter of out of the way as quickly as possible before someone catches sight of them. While that is part of her considerations and blending into the darkness and making sure that they are unseen, in the back of the vehicle, Life Finds a Way is a chestnut to explain all of the myriad possibilities and probabilities. As Eugene is nursing and dealing with whatever issues he has for being manhandled into safety, his gun reloaded. As Ryan wrestles with the unleashed master who's kicking over all of those carefully stacked mental boxes, Marta divests herself of a draught, a full drink of her existence to stabilize and save this dead woman. It's only as the headlights go out that you realize that seconds have passed. And Marta, you just about reached the end of all that you are willing to give. You're not going to waste more good vitae after bad. And the body is still there, cooling as you watch the physiological responses of death happen. The releasing of the bowels, the settling of the muscles, and the constriction into rigor mortis. You're watching all of these things begin happening to her. The clouding of the eyes, you've seen death enough working as you do. You know that you didn't lose her. You weren't losing, not in the process of, you had lost her. As her body cools there with you all and the stench of death begins to permeate, is there anything you three are doing as Fancy is wheeling you rumble tumble alongside of the main road?
Eugene looks over to Ryan, to undead Ryan. Buddy, you look like you could use a drink.
Oh, I could use a lot more of a drink.
All right, take a little bit just to take the edge off.
There's a part of his head that, like, screams that's not a good idea, but there's a much larger part of himself that just lunges. The moment the permission was granted, the concept entered his mind that was food, not friend. It just unable to hold back the impulse like a heavily ADHD'd child, immediately just grasping onto Eugene.
Well, now. There's a cost to everything. There's a balancing of business. There's the scales of injustice that guides the average kindred's night. One of the foundational, incontrovertible facts is that there is nothing better than the kiss. There is nothing more important to the driving little beastie inside every kindred's chest than the kiss. And as all cylinders of every facet of pleasure fire for Ryan as he sinks fangs, so too is that mirrored in Eugene, because even the receipt of the kiss, not just giving it, is phenomenally pleasurable. Unlike the biting of fangs and donating of vitae, you feel that pain. You feel the absence of yourself. The small little twinge of pleasures your fangs sink in to tear the flesh is as unto nothing in comparison to the kiss. So as Marta looks at the corpse in front of her, glancing toward the others in the bed of this particular truck, and watching them give and receive, there is a unmistakable jealousy welling up. She just gave and got nothing fucking from it, and yet they're having and holding a sacred sacrament right in front of your fucking eyes. Not that they know what drives Marta. Not that they know what her grasp on spirituality and the spirituality of the kiss is, but yet and still there they are, commingling an act of worship, while you are stuck with the moldering corpse of the immortal sister. And not for nothing, Fancy, even in the dark, your eyes adjusting as they go, there is like a parent who's watching nieces, nephews, younger cousins, and the like. When the space where the younger members of the family is quiet, you know something is going on, and the engine droning out as you get it up to speed, and as you hit a bump or a bump hits you, there is too much quietude in the bed of the truck. The desert plays tricks with sounds, but the one thing that's evident is when someone's talking behind your head, or when there's motion behind you, it carries its own existence. That's not there. There's just quietude behind you. No conversation, no yelling, no slapping on the hood of the truck, asking you what you're doing. In fact, as they say, it's too quiet.
Anybody want to tell me what the fuck's going on back there? Why is it so quiet?
Yeah, that's all you're hearing from me, buddy.
Trying to take the edge off of Ryan before he does something stupid.
Oh, speaking of which, I need to make a frenzy check. So 3 plus -2 or just +0.
You need to make a frenzy check for the emotional damage of it, but you don't need to make a frenzy check because Eugene is at least going to give you 1 drought of hunger. So once you get to that 1 drought, you could roll again anyway. So unless, of course, you want to deal with the emotional ramifications of your beast taking control, you really don't need to roll.
Oh, okay. I don't want to necessarily deal with the emotional ramifications. It's just, yeah, no, that can be parsed out later, not while I'm in the back of a truck speeding away from the police. This is not the introspectional time.
Speaking of introspectional time, Marta.
Yes.
Watching him give and receive a sacrament as your patient dies there before you, where does that place you? What is it that you feel? What is it that you think? Watching them bastardize a holy sacrament right the fuck there.
Yeah, it's pretty bummer. I'm not quite sure what she thinks about it. She is kind of annoyed.
Okay. Annoyed is a step. It is definitely a thing, a moment. So it holds your attention is what we're grasping. As she wrestles with where does that place her? Where does that mean for her? Watching them in effigy piss on a crucifix. There.
Yeah.
So it holds her attention.
Yeah.
So, as everyone is, except for Fancy, is caught up in this moment, would you all be so kind as to roll your composure and trying to maintain calm, either performance or subterfuge? And while that roll is happening, Fancy, I need you to roll your resolve plus drive, because you are, without a shadow of doubt, everyone's saying, I'm just trying to take the edge off, and it being quiet, you are alone with the desert. So when that next moment occurs, it is 100% blindsiding to you. Maintaining complete control and not otherwise is fairly important.
Okay. I have a -2 on this, right?
No.
Oh. God. Let's give it a shot.
And Marta?
Yeah.
So, several things happen at once, as they always do in these particular cases. Everyone focuses in on the moment of connection, the quietude of it all, the starry desert sky seeming larger and closer than any other view and vista of the celestial bodies in motion. The mountains there in the distance being the only real landmark to guide one by. The road that you're staying off of, just in case anyone's paying attention to a dark vehicle moving across it, there to your left. And in the midst of this quietude, in the midst of all of this calm, in the midst of all of that potential magic of the dark, quiet desert night, a blood-curdling scream out of nowhere as the corpse of the immortal sister lashes out in a way that only the ravenous can, going from a rigor mortis settling in body, emptying its bowels and the last remnants of its life, to an ambulatory, barely contained ghoul. In everything but actual fact, a white, the mindless hunger of the blood being shared feet from where it is, triggering that ravenous hunger. The shock of its death still not quite registering. The pain of its birth into the afterlife, the only thing outside of the hunger that it is aware of. And like a scream in the night, Morgan, with Ryan moving in to shield you bodily, with the police clearly closing in to corral, contain, and quiet whatever the disturbance might be, with the realities of the situation of a blonde, muscled, potentially violent member that they don't recognize here in the rough equivalent of the ghetto of Prim. Is there anything or any consideration that she is offering or doing? Or will she allow her and Ryan, or talk Ryan from defending her, to be detained?
She is going to gently put her hand on his back and just kind of like just stay there. And she is going to do her best to spin a lovely yarn about how they were just coming to visit their friend, the immortal's name. I'm sure that Fancy had said it at one point at her house, you know, in the location that we were seeing the dead woman getting fed on, and clearly we were just lost and in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay. A contested at best effort. Let's see how successful they actually are. I'm not sure exactly how you would put that across. We're gonna say to the best of her abilities. How convincing can she actually be?
She can be pretty convincing. She has high manipulation, specialty in innocence and subterfuge, and she's pretty.
Yeah, but Ryan's not.
No, but he's pretty.
But Ryan's not. He's a nice looking guy. He's handsome. Rugged almost. Let's see. Let's leave it up to fate. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and let's lose your best ability. Go ahead and use your manipulation and subterfuge. You won't be able to no, that's fine. We'll use the totality of it. I will give them the benefit as they're just looking for a cause. It doesn't really matter. So they will probably, especially being as you give the address that you give, they will kindly take you out of here, and instead of taking you to the police station to detain you, if you are successful, they will take you to their hidden boss who actually pays their salaries. If you are unsuccessful, they will take you to the police station.
No.
Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I caught that.
Excellent.
Yeah, what's up?
And it is 12 after the
Because
hour.
the kids were around. I didn't want them just randomly walking in and
It's 12 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 here, and we'll be back at 22 after. And with the result of Morgan's careful manipulation of the criminally minded and gifted police officers of Prim.
Okay, I want to... Yeah, I'll be back. But I want to apologize there. I forgot that my mic was unmuted as I went about shouting at my brother. I am so fucking sorry.
No worries. We'll see you in 22.
Yep, see you in 22.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan, by the way, your mic is unmuted.
What's up? Yeah, I know my mic was unmuted. I was very loud.
Just thought I'd put it out there,
Can y'all hear me?
There you are.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Everyone here?
Yep.
I'm here.
Excellent. So, with taking a quick look at the statistical probabilities of them, there is a roughly 70% chance that they would fail horribly in rising to the weariness and awareness of their situation, how dangerous Morgan and Ryan are. There was a 70% chance that they'd blithely go along and take Morgan and Ryan to their employer. Just take them and here you go. We don't know what they mean, but you know, I'm sure you can figure this out. Blah 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 blah. Where's our tip? In all due likeliness, that was the outcome. A successful escape of it being a matter of public and official record. Morgan's claim of innocence, as she spins a yarn, as they utilize standard operating procedures, separate the two, get their stories, and find any discrepancies to poke and prod at. Fate lends a hand. More of a traveling down behind you, a flight of stairs built at a precariously illegal height, one from the next, and gently places the palm of her hand in the center of your back to brace you from falling backwards into them. Instead, gives it a shove. Morgan doesn't seem to be a particularly expressive person. Emotionally, she's able to keep her cards to her chest. She's able to keep a facade, a veneer of calm in the most trying of situations. The fact that, of course, as per SOP, both her and Ryan are handcuffed is not worrying. For their own safety is the usual recourse, and asking about any sharp weapons or anything sharp in their pocket that might stick them. Just a quick pat down and make sure that everyone's okay, blah blah blah, and make sure that you guys are, you know, not at risk. For our safety is the line that they feed. Everything is going according to plan until they put you both in separate police cars. Just to talk. Just come on back here and we'll talk and we'll get what happened here and we'll sort this out. Morgan's able to stay calm and collected. And having heard the initial, oh, we're just visiting, and the start, Ryan, of course, plays along. He plays his role admirably well. Unfortunately, even in small towns, there are occasionally individuals who are able to think larger than themselves. And as the doors close and they get into the front seat and they start talking, they're still talking to each of you. And this car start up. It's with some small bit of exhalation of whew, as you all don't begin heading to Buffalo Bills. With some small measure of, at least we don't have to stand in front of the Prince, right? You don't need to go back there. They began heading down Prim Boulevard. Leisurely place. The last to arrive, third car, moving on to secure the scene and make sure that nothing else is out of place. It's only as you leave Prim, technically, because once you hit the Las Vegas freeway, you are officially outside of Prim. But instead of merging right onto the northbound trail of the Las Vegas freeway, they continue across, then merge left, moving south down West Prim Boulevard. And what most people don't realize is that the Prim Police Department technically is right at the border of Nevada and California. It's the last leg after trailing through various private parkways, and it's the building there immediately on the south arm and extension of all of those crisscrossing private parkways just past the Pilot J, the Cat Scale from the truck stop, and Whiskey Pete's, which is the competing hotel, also run and managed by the Prince of Prim, but gives the illusion of competition. As you move through the quiet, lingering parkways, and you see the Prim PD department, a 6-sided building that looks out onto the border between Nevada and California, that something shifts in your stomach. You realize that these jackasses are attempting to do their job, or the illusion of their job. How well does Morgan hold her countenance, seeing where they are headed? And how well does she think Ryan holds his countenance, seeing where they are headed?
I would say that Ryan should do pretty well, given his career choices. Morgan, she should be pretty decently, able to hold her own. It's not like she hasn't done shit like this before when, she was alive.
Yeah, but alive you can make bond. Alive, sitting in a cell as the sun comes up isn't a problem. In fact, it's an annoyance. You gotta roll toward the back of the wall, cover your head with your arms, and try to sleep on that thin metal frame that acts as your bed. Alive, the stench of other humans' bodily waste and the unworking commode isn't as bothersome. Alive, getting out at midday or not eating the bologna sandwich is a little different. Alive, entering into an actual cell at a police station isn't the harbinger of potential self-immolation.
I mean, fair enough, but I think she'd hold it together pretty well.
Which is always a good thing. Keep calm. Situation's normal. Whatever that might be. And as the police station looms, when you grow closer by the moment, why would they put so many winding parkways in the middle of the desert? The scenery doesn't change all that much, and you can see the absolute ungodly amount of waste as several portions around Whiskey Pete's is fertile, deep, moist green. You can imagine the amount of water that requires. Not that water is such a thing for you anymore, but without water, your potential victims aren't as healthy. Without water, your potential victims what would normally be a simple feeding could turn into something far, far messier. And there it is, all of that glorious American waste. There's tracks upon tracks of just deep, moist, green foliage all over the place at Whiskey Pete's. And it's hard not seeing it for the waste that it is. It's impossible, actually, being a Nevada citizen and realizing what that required and the direct as well as incidental cost of that, pumping water out here in the middle of the desert. Pumping water, especially out here at the border between Nevada and California. It is, you're sure that they have water trucked in just to maintain their foliage. And while that's heartbreaking, the amount of waste and excess spent for such vanity, a ravenous, freshly created childer in the midst of you all, with Fancy hitting a rut in the road, the axle of the truck, screaming in protest as you all are nearly thrown from the vehicle as it comes to a grinding stop. What is it that you all do with the ravenous child holding on to what sense of itself might exist underneath all of that hunger as it leaps to its feet, gauging and sniffing and inhaling the wind, and you all have, in the midst of it, exchanged you've exchanged blood. You have its most dearest loved one's blood all over your face.
Oh, fuck. I suppose I am going to attempt to, hopefully with the help of Eugene, restrain it.
It all depends. Did you let go of my damn wrist?
Nobody. Did I let go of his damn wrist?
Gauging by your immediate response, yes. Your jaw in the blood-curdling shriek of birth into the existence that is this unliving forever night of that particular childer shocked you to your core. Only a blind person would realize how affected by it you were. While Martha stares on at divinity being manifest in this particular moment, and while Fancy keeps just enough control to keep you all from crashing completely, Eugene is unmolested. He is unfazed by, oh fuck, nice. Whatever.
Yeah, no, alright, then, having let go of Eugene, Ryan's just gonna turn over, see the fangs, see the wild, crazy eyes, and just scream, "I told you to cool the damn thing, not turn that!" And then, jump forward and attempt to restrain her before she goes absolute ape shit on us.
And grab the hammer.
Wait, you killed them once, Eugene. Don't do it again.
Fancy. Martha.
Or just to help.
Fancy, having wrestled the steering wheel to a stop, kind of whips her head around. What the fuck is going on? And then she, what looks like the immortal sister. I thought she was dead. Oh shit.
She is dead.
Oh shit. Ensuing panic.
Martha.
Yes.
Anastasia is back amongst the land of the living. She is not alive, but it's inhabiting her flesh. Is the hunger personified. You have the blood of her brother Anton all over your face. the sense of their shared moment of exchanging vitae, or more accurately, Eugene giving Ryan vitae, is all on the wind. What is it, if anything, you are attempting to do?
I think I'd get in there on helping restrain my new childer.
Okay. That being the case, Ryan and Martha, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl? And Eugene, being as you're going to, make sure that their efforts are wasted, go ahead, clubber, which is a strength plus melee.
I had no intention of clubbing her, thank you very much.
Everything's a nail to a hammer.
I was actually going to use the wooden handle as a stake. Put her back to sleep.
You're going to attempt to snatch the head of the hammer off and drive it into her chest.
Hopefully between the ample bosom, yes.
Well, what does fate say is most likely to happen as Marta rushes her, as Ryan rushes her, struggling and grappling for a grip to restrain her? Ryan, your rules are...
Alrighty. Oof, 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 oof. I mixed it up. Is it brawl or athletics that you're asking for here?
Strength plus brawl.
Strength plus brawl. Ooh, that's sexy. All right. Hey, that's what I like to see.
While all this is going on, can Fancy reorient and try to get them back en route to where she was originally heading, or is that place not in existence anymore?
Well, therein lies the present dilemma. Remember that grinding to a halt and that bending, shrieking metal of your axle? You can, of course, make it there, but you will be doing so on foot. You can leave them in the truck. I'm sure that, they'll can follow your tracks.
She looks behind and yells in the window, "Since all this shit's going on, we broke the truck. We're gonna have to go the rest of the way on foot."
As I'm just putting all of my absolutely fucking stringy muscles to work, just trying desperately to hold on to this thing.
And that's an accurate way of placing it. It is in this moment. She is in this moment a thing, and she is the literal personification of hunger. And unfortunately for you, her rough and tumble life of manual physical labor in maintaining the RV park has and is resulting in it being quite the battle.
Seeing the fight going on behind them. She's like, "You do realize there's chains and ratchet straps back there."
And Eugene, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus melee? You need an outcome of 5.
Okay. And blood surge will give me only 2 die, right?
Yes.
Well, that's gonna be difficult because I only got 2 die.
Your strength plus melee is 2 die, plus your blood surge is 2 die.
Well, blood surge will give me 4 die.
See, well, you're there. You got 4. As you repeatedly attempt to bludgeon her with the blunted end of the hammer's handle, missing her heart but puncturing and wounding her further in her animalistic state, of being a hunger.
I'm gonna re-roll well, it doesn't allow me to re-roll. I need to re-roll the missing dice.
Now you have more hunger than your 2 non-hunger die are actually successful, so there's nothing to re-roll.
Okay, well, I'm only at hunger 2 because I gave Ryan 1 and I was at 1, so that's only 2 so far.
Right, and your 2 non-hunger die that you would have been able to re-roll are successful. You can't re-roll your 2 successful dice with a willpower. There's no willpower. There's nothing applicable for willpower because your 2 failed die. Well, your 1 failed die is actually your hunger die. You can't re-roll those.
Okay. Well, that takes that out of the equation. So I'm just beating her in the chest with a pretty much a wooden flap smackjack.
Yes, and with your outcome versus hers, that gives you a 1 + 2. That's 3 superficial damage that you deal to a fresh newborn. So you are a source of danger, as well as with Ryan having pulled himself free in the shrieking birth cries of her in this state. Your Tay is just as apparent as Marta's, who is all over her face and fingers, and so at this juncture, you all, having been in similar situations, know what happens next. There is the very real ravenous attempt to consume as many of you all as their fangs can sink into. You all move to attempt to grapple and restrain her, and as she's fighting with every mindless strength, you haven't successfully grappled her still. You all are attempting to keep her still and grapple her and restrain her, and she's shrugging you off, and you're scrabbling for another purchase, and she's pushing you off, you're scrabbling for another purchase, and as Eugene drives forward attempting to stake her, a switch flicks. A purposeful attempt, not at defending itself, not in attempting to get free to get to blood, but realizing that, hey, I eat steak, and you all just happen to be steak. As its attempts to get free start to fall away, and its attempts to sink Fang become more and more the focus of the moment, what is it that you all are doing?
I actually don't even, I don't have, I'll just kind of, no, I don't have enough blood to save this fucking thing. Oh, well, I do know that Fancy said we're gonna have to go by foot, so. Yeah, Eugene, Lita, give me your plans. Maybe that'll inspire me to some action.
As much as I hate to do this, I'm thinking I may have her bite me so that her attention is all on eating, and have one of you guys stake her.
You are relying on us being capable of that.
Well, obviously, I'm not capable of it.
Nobu, who was that against? What was that bite? I see that bite attack. What is that?
Nom 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 delicioso.
Please tell me that was against anyone but me. That would be a boon if that was against literally anyone but me.
Well, as she is attempting to sink Fang, what is it that you three are attempting to do? Are you going to stand there, or are you going to?
All right, fine, fuck it. As far as I'm aware, Martha's the one of us that's looking the best hunger-wise, so I'm throwing Martha at her. Or sorry, I'm throwing Lita at it.
No,
I don't know
Martha.
why the.
It's Marta.
It is Marta. I'm throwing Marta at it.
Marta, are you resisting?
No, I'll go with it.
As it's just raving and wild, just feed your goddamn baby.
We'll try and technically be the dad since it was his idea.
I hate so much of that.
Well, ownership is important here. Who's responsible for the child? Biologically, definitively, without a shadow of a doubt, it is 100% Martha. She, in the dying seconds of Anastasia's existence, as she was going towards the light, being welcomed into what comes after, Marta reached her spectral hand into the ether and drug her back into this corpse. Spiritually,
I gotta say, Martha, that's pretty rude.
Spiritually, it was, Ryan's suggestion, after all, trying to protect and save what little information that you all might have access to.
I like any understanding of this situation that doesn't get me in trouble. So, yeah.
Have you met us?
Well, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Exactly.
And as Marta takes one for the team, takes the shove and willingly allows her ravenous child to sink Fang, there's something you all don't know and don't consider when it comes to Marta. This is a holy sacrament. The sharing of Vitae, the sharing of all that is divine in the kindred, is very much an act of worship. The beauty of the kiss and the divinity inherent is a religious moment. In the doing, Martha, in the self-sacrifice in this moment, is there a point or where Martha fights the kiss? Is there a point when Martha says enough is enough? Is there a point when Martha has decided to bring the worshipfulness to an end?
I probably would not let them feed on me very much. I would want them to I would want them to stop after maybe 1 or 2 points.
Okay. That being the case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your Resolve plus Composure versus your Bane plus 2? And while that is happening, as you all watch the eye-flickering pleasure of baby's first kiss wash over not only Anastasia, but also over Martha. What is it that you three are doing? There's a lot in the offing in that moment. You all have officially, without a shadow of a doubt, been an accessory before and after the fact of an outright flouting of all that you all are. The damning of another soul aside, there is the very real fact that you all created a child or were in the presence of someone who was illegally embraced with no way of explaining it.
I can explain it. Wasn't me.
Oh, that's terrible.
You see, when a mommy and a daddy vampire love each other very much.
Look, all sins can be wiped away if they benefit somebody powerful enough to do so.
Yes.
Well, I guess while she's distracted, she's going to point out the ratchet strap again. So that they could maybe,
That would be a good time to stake her.
that's working horribly. Just bind her so that we can take her with us. We have to get out of the open.
Yeah, no, I agree. We need to move quick. He says as he just kind of like cautiously watching the unfortunate situation that's going down with Martha. And in the off chance that it gets a little bit too far over there, we're gonna have to rip those two apart.
It literally is too far. At Martha's successes, she manages to prize herself free, but as you all, having been victims of the kiss, know, it's only over when you want it to be over, and even then there's a chance that it's never really over. And that's exactly what happens when you take a freshly dead person from hunger 5 to hunger 3. Marta, would you please increase your hunger by 2? And while that is happening, and while you consider what it is that you are attempting to do with or without the ratchet straps, with or without actually engaging, that battle isn't over. Because while Martha is able to successfully pull herself free of the kiss, her child, unfortunately, is not. Her child is very much prisoner and privy to that drive, that need, and slowly becoming themselves again. As they're becoming themselves again, they are in the presence of the persons and beings that killed them.
What are you talking about?
Now with the added benefit of a kindred's resilience, now with the added benefit of the hunger and the beast settling in. And as you all plot, plan, adapt, adjust as you may need, Morgan, when you all are taken into the police department, small though it is, relatively, for a city the size of Prim, it is oversized, which is an oddity. Most rural places, they don't really have even a fully functioning police department, a fully functioning police station. Yet this one does. It's 2 stories tall, brick in the middle of the desert. It's not designed for desert living. It's something designed for the middle of a city where there's a huge infrastructure to support it, to keep the air conditioning on at all times, keep the water flowing, to make it habitable. In the desert, places like this are non-existent for a reason. It's just not tenable. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars flowing in just to keep this place operational. As the car pulls into the lot, Is there anything that Morgan is attempting to do besides be led into the interrogation room?
How many officers are there at this point?
The usual accompaniment. There's, for the two of you all, there are 3 officers. The others are at the scene, which means you have roughly half of the full-time staff here with you. The other part-timers are milling about trying to conduct what business there is at the scene and here at the department. They're inside the building.
Yeah, she'll go in for now.
There's something primal about the idea of loss of freedom. There's something instinctually prohibitive as you all are led through one iron door past the next. You guys are buzzed in and escorted upstairs into a interrogation room. You into one and Ryan further away into the next. Now, everything's cellular these days. Or at least that's what most people are accustomed to. As you're led into the interrogation room and the cuffs are removed from both of your wrists and chained towards the table. And we're just doing this to keep you safe. We're gonna have one of the detectives come in and talk to you in a little bit. Would you like a phone call or anything? Or you good?
A phone call would be delightful, thank you.
Sure thing. Let me go ahead and grab the phone. You want a drink? We've got coffee. I can get you a Sprite.
No, thank you.
Sure thing. As they close the door, as they leave, alone in the interview room, there's several thoughts and considerations that happen. One being, this is unfortunately probably finally it. There's a sunrise not far enough off to make this comfortable. There is the lack of freedom and mobility. There is the fact that you are 100% behind enemy lines. It's not the most comfortable of situations. You can only imagine what's going through Ryan's mind wherever he is in the building. Isolated, alone, having a secret that no one would ever believe but yet is too potent at the same time. There's no human, mortal way of escaping with impunity from such a situation. You can imagine how he's preparing himself for what comes next. Because even at a misdemeanor, if that's what this turns out to be, if they can verify that you all were not at the source of the noise and whatever happened, if they turn a blind eye to the obvious crime scene aspect of the multiple gunshots, the broken windows, the smashed in doors, the blood that hasn't quite been cleaned across the hard packed desert sand road. so much. Even if they rule it down to a misdemeanor and pursue, there is slim and very little chance that you all, either both or individually, will not be facing at least up to 364 days behind the bars of someone's jail, if not penitentiary. And in the same token, the shackles of what tomorrow might bring hanging over your heads, the childer calming some as a realization of who and what they are in the midst of, and that fight for survival moving from that fight for your blood and vitae. Eugene, Fancy, Martha, Ryan, what is it that you all are attempting, if anything? Or are you just going to let her clamp down on the next one of you all? Are you guys going to each take turns donating vitae?
Well, assuming that she's got a little bit of more of her faculties to her, I'm not so much for weakening our ability to get the fuck back to Las Vegas. Eugene, what are your thoughts? I can't let it fucking snaggle my snickle. It's not gonna happen.
Where can we tie her down with that's readily available?
What kindred? You could use human intestine.
You could.
I was about to say, intestine is readily available.
You very well could. This is a handy woman's truck, so there are hammers and straps and cords and all of that gobbledygook spread all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, wait. If there are some, like, wrenching straps on here, we're very easily bind this lady. So long as you can manage to get her to sit still.
As long as you can out-rustle her.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to bind her down with some wrenching straps.
Oh, yeah? You and what army? Because as you go for the strap, she goes for the nice little kick and preparing to fly and flee from this particular situation. You all killed her. And while
we did not.
And while the fugue of death hazes things into this garbled mass of jangled, broken pieces that don't quite align, her brother, the last person she kind of sort of cared about with any real measure and depth, as she and he were shot fleeing from Ryan losing his shit on Morgan, and the human Ryan fighting as if he's some wushu expert, and they took off running, their world shattered in an explosion of gunfire.
Just if there's enough cognizance behind her that I can attempt to talk to her, I think that's what I'll go for, since grappling is apparently not my expertise.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Last time she ran, she saw what happened. So I don't think she want to try to run again because, well, you know.
Is that what you're telling her?
It repeat itself.
What Ryan's going to be saying is, you know, as she goes to bolt, just, you run out there alone, you're going to find yourself burning and dead come the daylight. Your situation has changed. You need to stick with us, and that will keep you alive. If you run off now, there's nothing we can do for you. Worse people than us will find you.
All right. So a little bit of manipulation and subterfuge and attempt or intimidation to try to scare her into not looking out for number one.
Yeah, that's intimidation was definitely where my brain was going.
All right. That's your target number. You need a 2 or better.
2 or better. Okay. Oh, that was way too close for comfort.
Don't fucking come near me. Just fine. Just fucking stop. You put that shit down. Stop. Just stop. Everybody fucking stop.
Alright, Eugene, you put that shit away. You follow us. If we don't get moving now, it's not gonna be fun.
Where's Anton?
We couldn't get him.
Other guys that we were trying to save killed him.
Looks over to Eugene with a what?
People we were running from killed him.
Suffice to say, we couldn't get him, but we did manage to get you. And trust me, it's a lot better that you're with us than with him. He says this as he just starts walking towards Vegas, I guess. I don't exactly know what like our game plan is. Maybe we'll flag down a car on the highway.
Fancy. Looks as if... Fancy, are you there?
Uh-oh.
Okay. So we're experiencing some technical difficulties, but Fancy's safe haven was further on. So I'm taking it that she's taking point and guiding you all in that general direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fancy, but unfortunately, like, even whenever you're unmuted, I don't think it's detecting your audio. You might want to check your devices. Yeah, no, so I'll follow along with Fancy. If she knows where she's going, that's a lot better than me, who's out here like a tumbleweed, just hoping I eventually run into something.
Yeah, there lies a huge problem. There was a safe haven, a compound with enough cellar space, well, crawl space actually, and that you all could lay low. It was a relatively uninhabited safe haven that she's familiar with. She even, at least as far as she remembered the last time she was here, all those many years ago, had a space for herself that was relatively secure. As you all mound the crest of the next hill, just there at the end of East Prim Boulevard, heading towards the surface access road, there is a compound there, yes. However, it's far larger than an estate. There's roughly a square eighth of a mile of buildings and various industrial plants, and they're not on Prim's power grid. And the reason why you know this is because just past them, there are several very large wind turbines generating energy for the place. There are lights and security and vehicles moving from building to building. There's a field of solar generators between each of the buildings, so providing enough power to light up Prim. But here in the middle of the desert, as far away from Prim as you can be and still be within the city limits officially, it's unincorporated space. And yet, instead of a secure safe haven, there is a compound of some technological means in operation. There is something happening here. Looking at all of the busy bees still operating this so very close to well past midnight is a punch to the gut. Without any shadow of a doubt, you are sure that this isn't supposed to be here. Without any shadow of a doubt, you are sure that you all have stumbled into, well, the secret of Prim. What's been going on out here. And as you all look down on the compound, And Morgan looks towards the door as it opens with the handheld phone being brought in. Not a cellular, but an actual cordless phone. I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode. And I will see you all next time on this Season 2 finale of Lost Wages, Second Chances.
Oh, I'm in such a bad state. I shouldn't be going into a fucking SI compound.
Oh.